Hey, Tony Gaskins here. I'm on my walk back. Now listen, there was I did a couple videos what a man looking for in a woman, what a woman needs in a man, and I wanted to expound upon this balance on what a man is looking for in a woman, part two. Because a lot of times what I've noticed is that if a woman is single for a period of time, and this information can be inverted for men as well. So if a man sees this, but if a woman is single for a lot of time, she starts to question herself, and in questioning herself, she starts to create a character, and she starts to create something that she isn't really. And whenever we're playing a role or we're acting, we end up ruining our opportunities and the connections because we are being who we think we should be in our mind instead of just being natural and authentic and organic. We become processed, and that is never a good thing. And so what I notice is when it comes down to the men, choosing their wives and liking this woman and going to this woman, it's a balance of support and submission and strength. And that's where we get confused, because we see the word submit as a taboo word instead of understanding that it really just means teamwork. It really means not fighting for no reason, meaning not objecting and going against your spouse for no reason. But at the same time, submission takes strength. And in a healthy relationship, the man and woman actually submit unto each other, meaning each person recognizes the strengths of their spouse and they allow their spouse to operate in their strengths, and they submit with humility to the strengths of their spouse. So a man is not trying to operate in his woman's role or her strengths, and the woman is not trying to operate in her man's role or in his strengths. But what we have to understand right there is that sometimes a person's strength is not what society says should be the strength of that gender. So my wife's strength she has a strength in figuring things out and putting things together and doing things around the house, like manual labor, not just like domesticated type things like washing dishes and mopping floors, but she can be handy. And society says that a woman should not be handy, that she shouldn't do those things, that she should wash dishes, mop the floors, and things of that nature. And then it's the opposite for the man. And so, but I could do anything handy, but I don't necessarily enjoy it or like it or really see it as a worthwhile challenge. And so if I can delegate that and give it to somebody else, I will. And that's not what we see oftentimes done. So with me being out of town right now, and my oldest, we out of town, my wife, her dad is coming in because he will relish in and embrace the challenge of being handy. And his personality is he'd rather do it himself than pay somebody to do it, even though he can afford to pay somebody. And he will fumble through it if he has to fumble through it. It's not that he's all knowing. He gets on YouTube just like the rest of us. He get on YouTube, he watch the expert do it, and then he does what the expert does. And so I could do the same thing, I just choose not to. And for a lot of women, because society has said this is a quality of a man, a lot of women take pride in that. And they like that about a man. But it doesn't define a man. And so the same thing with what society says a woman is submissive. A lot of women take that to the umpteenth degree and think that because society says a woman should be submissive and a woman should be this and that, women will take and be that and not understand that what a man actually, a real man, not a grown boy. And we have grown boys who get in the comments, and we have trolls who get in the comments, and we got fake accounts and bots who get in the comments just to derail the conversation and be an idiot. So you can't really pay attention to people in the comments talking about I am a man and this is how I feel, because a lot of times it's not no man, and a lot of times it ain't a real man. What a real man wants is a real man also wants to be held accountable. A real man don't want a woman who is a floor mat. And a lot of times we think submission means being a floor mat. Submission means not quarreling. A quarrelsome woman that the Bible talks about, that it's better to live in the top corner of a house than to live in a mansion with a quarrelsome woman. And so submission just means you're not quarreling, you're not fighting, you're not being a nuisance and a headache just to be. That if the man says, hey, I feel like we should pay down our debt, or we should invest into this business, or we should do that, that you look well within that matter. And if you don't see a flaw or an error in it, then you can say, okay, let's do it. I got your back, I support you. But on the flip side of that, it also means if you as a woman look well within that matter and you see a flaw or you see a blind spot that your man has, that you then respectfully say, hey, well, what do you think about this? Or have you thought about this? And see, this is where it get tricky. Because a lot of times as people, when we see something, we will choose to make our spouse feel stupid. Oh, that's dumb. You ain't even think about this. You ain't even think about this. What about, you ain't even think about this? And we will take that approach and be condescending. Where if we say, well, what do you think about this? Or what if this right here happens? Or what is, this thought or that thought? So now you open it up in a dialogue and you have your spouse thinking outside of their box and kind of looking at things differently. And then they say, oh, you know what? Yeah, you're right. So now you've just aided your spouse in finding a better option or a better solution without emasculating, without disrespecting, without being condescending. And yet you still got to the goal you wanted to reach. And so I want women to understand that real men don't want, how they say men love bees, the B word. That's not true. A man don't love no bee. A man will want to squash a bee. I'm talking about the B word now, that the derogatory female dog. And the lady wrote a book. That's not true. Men don't love that. Men don't love mean girls. Men don't love nasty girls. Men love strong women who know who they are. But we have to stop associating strength with masculine. You can be strong and feminine. You can be strong as a woman. Just because you stand your ground and you don't get pushed around and you don't put up with nonsense, that does not mean you're weak. That does not mean that you're acting like a man. And that's where we are flawed, is we take and we turn that into, oh, you a man, or you acting masculine, or this or that. And that's a flaw. So we have to wake up and smell the coffee on that and realize that what a man is really looking for About to sit in my little car. Got a rental car out here. What a man is really looking for is a woman who can be herself. And when you being yourself, what do you realize? When you being yourself, you're strong and you submissive, meaning you're a team player, but you also not dumb. And that is what's beneficial. Now, at the same time, listen, a man is a human and a human is flawed. So what that means is most men will try to break a woman. Most men will try to break a woman, break her will, break her, strip her of her conscience, strip her of her mind, her ability to think for herself, think on her feet, try to strip her of her voice, her assertiveness. And as a woman, you have to push back on that. You cannot shrink just because he makes all the money, or he makes more money, or he makes money at all, or just because he has a thing between his legs, or just because he huffs and puffs. You cannot shrink. And if a man huff and puff and he want to get jumped bad, then that's when you know you got to leave. That's when you know you got to send him a real message by letting him see your back walk out that door. And then if he want to touch you while you walking out that door, that's when you got to let him go face to face with the man in blue, to let him know that you do not play, to let him know that it's respect at all costs, to let him know that you will not be disrespected, you will not be taken advantage of, you will not be shut down and silenced, you will not be made to feel less than. And that is what we need today as real men. That's what we need. We don't need no weak, docile woman. We need a woman who is respectful. We need a woman who knows who she is and who will trust us and let us lead in the areas that we strong in, but also need a woman that's going to hold us accountable in the areas that we may have blind spots or we may be weak in. So listen, understand that right there. Hey, this is Tony Gaskin. God bless you. We'll talk soon. I'm out here walking around feeling a little moist under these here arms. I'm like, hold on now. A little air, need a little air hit me. I got to wear that outfit all day, and it's 11 o'clock in the morning. Hey, God bless you. We'll talk soon.